Welcome to the Vertical MRO Podcast, where we dive into the world of helicopter maintenance, repair, and overhaul. In each episode, we talk with the technicians, engineers, and experts who keep helicopters flying. Because at the end of the day, no maintenance, no mission. Welcome to part 2 of our conversation. If you missed part 1, you can find it in our previous episode.
What are some of those biggest challenges and constraints that a mom and pop one ship operator want to take to say, you know what, I want to grow?
They're trying to think about how to get ahead of the curve. And often they'll have pilots on their roster before they have an aircraft because they need the pilots, or they have the mechanics on their roster before. And they will start spooling up. They understand that value of human capital. Like probably 2 of the deals we did last year were people that had invested in human capital at the front end before they even had the aircraft. Because they knew if they had the aircraft and they didn't have the human capital, they weren't going to be able to be successful to execute on the contracts they were going to go after. And being able to invest in some apprentices, like apprentices are expensive, sorry kids if you're listening. Like I love like the programs at BCIT and everybody, like they're putting out, good apprentices with a good base knowledge, but everybody knows they're not going to make you money right away. You're going to teach them along the way. For sure, they're going to drop something through the glass
Step
through
the skylight.
Right, we all know it's going to happen. But sometimes companies will say, I don't have apprentices, and well, then you can't complain about the work shortage, and you've got to kind of put your money where your mouth is.
In this episode, hosts Ronnie Reese and Howie Murray sit down with Adrienne Robinson, Vice President of Business Development at East West Helicopters, for a grounded conversation on how leasing strategies, data, and maintenance realities intersect with the shop floor. With more than 4 decades in the helicopter industry, Adrienne brings a rare perspective that spans avionics, MRO, aircraft transactions, and long-term fleet planning. The discussion focuses on what these strategies actually mean for maintainers and maintenance leaders, especially those supporting small and mid-size operations. Adrienne breaks down how Power by the Hour, PBH, programs can help reduce unexpected maintenance costs, stabilize parts access, and help teams plan more effectively instead of constantly reacting to supply chain surprises. They also explore the rising cost of OEM parts, tariffs, and ongoing supply constraints, and why better use of HUMS data and information sharing can improve the inspection planning, fault detection, and overall availability. Rather than technology for technology's sake, the conversation centers on how data becomes actually useful when it supports real-time maintenance decisions. Throughout the episode, Adrienne emphasizes the value of simplicity, standardization, and strong relationships with lessors, suppliers, and maintenance teams alike. For maintainers, the takeaway is clear. Predictable maintenance environments don't happen by accident. They're built through smarter planning, better data, and realistic support structures. This episode offers practical insight for AMEs, DOMs, and maintenance managers looking to reduce downtime, manage risk, and keep aircraft flying in an increasingly complex MRO landscape. Thank you to this episode's sponsors, Metro Aviation, Precision Aviation Group, and Robinson Helicopter.
So you're obviously talked about buying a lot of aircraft, selling a lot of aircraft, leasing a lot of aircraft, but there's things called like regulatory authorities and, customs and various other things. So once aircraft start crossing borders, like this whole process, I'm sure gets tremendously more complex. So what are the biggest challenges that people underestimate when buying, selling, and leasing helicopters across borders?
Probably the cost of, so when you went with us, we're delivering you the machine at a price. We've taken care of the shipping, all of the import, all of those kinds of things. But I think people they misjudge that. When they try and do it themselves, they'll say, oh, well, I can go and buy that machine from France for XYZ. And then they have a coronary because it cost them $35,000 in shipping. And then another coronary when they realize that there was this fee and this fee. And so, I think understanding all those costs is really important, and the complexity of it. Like if an aircraft is in, China or Singapore, or there's a whole raft of things that has to happen all the time. And, fortunately, Pat and Dan are very good at that. We spend a lot of time getting into the weeds of the details and really looking at it all. and also how long something takes. Like we don't typically, when I'm saying we have a machine ready to go, it's because it's ready to go. It's not because it's sitting on a dock somewhere, because we learned a long time ago, we only deal with things that we're holding in our hands because there can be a dock strike. We can have a pandemic. Things can get stuck. Things get stuck on boats in the Suez Canal. Like, you name it. There's a hurricane. There's, so we're not going to commit to anything and advertise or place something that we don't have. Right. So
speaking of things coming out of nowhere, within the last 12 months or so, the big T word of tariffs came not coming in with a breeze or on the screen door, but more like a sledgehammer with the SWAT team coming down. How has tariffs affected your operators?
Well, not good, Ronnie. It's not good.
I'm guessing you're same way there.
Shocked. I'm shocked.
It's not good. I mean, I think. What do you do? And I think, we certainly breathed a sigh of relief when, things kind of got squared away in September-ish for airframe. But, we certainly, I think most of us all got caught with aircraft outside of the country having to come into the country, and we had to deal with that. It's never a good thing to have your cost base have such a big jump, right? And that's a repercussion that really what ends up happening, and what we ended up doing was we just stopped. We just said, we'll just wait until this calms down. Like, we'll buy in North America. We won't buy outside of North America. We'll just wait until this calms down. And so, hopefully it stays calmer. But that is a really good classic example of, like, everybody's DOCs just got shot out the window in a cannon by cannon, didn't it? And that becomes super problematic, right? Having parts on the shelf that suddenly cost 40% more than the next part in the box. Not good. Like it's just not good for business. It's just not good for business. It's just not.
Yeah. Speaking of hopefully containing costs a little bit, you mentioned earlier, you called out me specifically with the GPMS shirt. You made the decision to equip basically almost all of your aircraft, or at least some of them that you're leasing, with hums across your fleet. Why? What problems were you trying to solve with this?
I think we wanted to have a certain level of oversight, also because it's, relatively a new technology in our space for the utility market. It was something that Pat liked the concept of, and we had the opportunity, like we did the STC for GPMS for the H125, as you know. And, we all learned a lot through that process. Everybody learned a lot about it. I think it's a good thing. I think that with the increased costs in engine maintenance, that the more that there's no such thing as bad data. All data is good data in my mind. I don't, that's how I feel. Like, the more information that we all have, the better it is. And if it helps ultimately extend TBO down the road because there's so much data, or it helps, like I know that Airbus has put you in their catalog now, and because they're understanding that, like, data is important. And, a dozen years ago, when Airbus and Safran were asking operators to forecast, I was in meetings where literally, operators were like, I am not going to tell them how many hours I'm flying. And I'd be like, what is your problem? And they would be irate about it. We're not going to tell them. We don't want them to know. And I was like, but if you don't tell them, they're not going to be able to build your parts in time. And you're not going to be able to get what you need in time. And the critical parts list will get bigger, not shorter. And I think that cycle has kind of gone out of people's heads. I think people understand now there's value in sharing that information, whether that's with the OEMs, whether it's with the leasing companies, whatever. It's paying attention to it is important. And with GPMS, it was just another tool in our toolbox to be able to have visibility to what is going on. And not because I want to open Pandora's box. I'm not looking to spy on anybody. It's just, if, God forbid, there's a catastrophic event or the engine makes metal, let's find out before there is something bad happens or it costs more than it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the bottom line. Like, we had an engine make metal before we put in GPMS, and I will tell you, it was a big conversation. Like, if we had GPMS, we firmly believed that we would not have had that event, and it would have cost a fraction of the price rather than what it ended up costing. And so, we believe in that, and we put our money where our mouth is and our time where our mouth is, right? Like, I mean, that's just it. We're going to put our time in on it. And I think, you guys are doing a good job, and it's maturing. And now I'm starting to get reports and things that I like a lot. And, I think that everything on that product line I think it's good. I think it's going down the right way,
I have been known to get the good witch calls from the Glenda witch calls from Adrienne, and then sometimes the wicked witch of when things aren't going exactly the way they should be. She could be on wicked easily. Howie, you were just at the S61 conference. I cut you off on that. There was some discussion about S61s, and especially in even big legacy things. And most people are thinking they're going the way of the dinosaurs. But there's discussion there too. Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, tell me what replaces a 61 for capability, right? Nothing. And certainly, it is a legacy aircraft, and we are very much at the point where we're going to start to see a need for operator cooperation, I think, in terms of sharing data. Like, I don't want anyone to know what I'm flying. Well, you know what? For exactly all those same reasons, it helps all of us, including the person who's hesitant to share the data, if we have the data to share. And I think there's still, like, I don't know, Sikorsky should still be building 61s, like Bell should be building 205s. And, there's a place for them. They are the steam-powered Chevy trucks of the helicopter world, and in the utility sector, there's nothing else out there that can do what they do and take a little bit of the abuse that they so often get heaped upon them. And in terms of hums, GPMS or wherever, gathering data like that for analysis in any fleet, I don't know how we don't have that yet for all the legacy aircraft. I've been involved in computers and helicopters for a long time. I was going to say forever, but not quite forever. But I had my own business a while back, and did a project where we took a T-53-11 out of the 204 T-canes for fuel delivery. And we built a FedEx for it, and it ran off of a computer. And it was amazing what we learned and what we could see coming long before anything ever happened to it, that you would have noticed just standing next to it, listening or feeling for vibrations with your burned little fingertips. I think it just makes sense to do things like that. And certainly it's a very smart choice to put it on a lease fleet. Obviously, you definitely need to be able to have those conversations and, not point a finger and assign blame, but, at some point, whatever happens, you can trace back to a root cause, and that makes it easier for everyone to figure out how to move ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good decision making.
Adrienne,
I love the 61.
thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
You've seen and worked with various different hums providers over the years. There's ones from obviously the OEMs and aftermarket and so forth. For some of these smaller operators to mid-size operators, what are some of the areas that they should be focusing on when making an evaluation on, one, should they get it, and two, what solution would be right for them? What are some of those things that they should be thinking about?
I think they have to just decide what is it they're expecting to get from it, and are they going to engage with it? Like, it's not something that you just put on and you ignore,
Mm-hmm.
like it takes quite a bit to get people, when they are not used to it, Howie, like they're, I'll say to them, like, I can see that you're not looking, like you're not looking at the data.
I know. Adoption is difficult.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Adoption that's the word I'm looking for. Like, adoption can tend to be difficult, and also because often if they're a bigger fleet, it might be just that we have one aircraft with them with GPMS. So then it's just this one aircraft. So it's not something that they're doing across their fleet. So in their heads, they're like, oh, I got to do that and look at it and clear that.
It's the redheaded, redheaded
stepchild. Yeah, it's okay. I get that. I'm, you know what, Ronnie? I've been doing this a long time. I have thick skin. It's fine. But I think
you're part Brit still. Keep calm and carry on, right?
Yeah, keep calm and carry on. That's right. But yeah, and I think for a small fleet operator, it has to decide. I mean, I think there's been talk. Certainly a few years ago, there was talk about, if you had a HUMS, could you maybe see some insurance concession, right, on your rates? I don't know that we're really seeing that yet. Do I think we'll get that? Yeah, I do. I think that insurance companies, when they understand the value proposition of aircraft with HUMS and that extra oversight that it gives you, I think that will come. But that only comes when there's enough data for them to be able to analyze, and they're a bigger, slower moving kind of program, right? But, maybe at some point that will happen. But also, again, if you're not in a program, or you're not on an SBH, or you're not in a maintenance program with a Standard Aero or with any of the bigger companies to help support you, understanding what's happening with the most expensive critical components on your machine is key. And for that reason alone, you should be an adopter of HUMS. Whether it's GPMS or something different, you should be an adopter of one of those products, because every dollar that you can save on that, it comes back tenfold. It really does. And so it's the only product, and you've heard me say this, Ronnie, many times, it's the only product I don't want to have a finding. It's the only thing that I have that happens in my day that I don't want to hear from.
No HUMS alerts.
It's the only thing. And every day I go, yes, it's a win, right? And sometimes you think, well, I'm paying for this, but we haven't found anything, Adrienne. They'll go, we haven't found anything. And I'm like, and that's good news. And that's good news.
I received that same comment basically from Rishi Kittrell from Helicopter Express. He's like, I've been trying to figure this out for a long time, but how do I place an ROI on something that never happens anymore?
Right. Yeah, I know. But when it does happen, because we know it does happen, we know you guys have had findings. We know that, I've seen enough examples, real examples, people, not made up examples, real examples. It's critical, it's safety, and you can understand what's happened, and you can be proactive, and it saves you money. How
often do you document that when you when you have a HUMS occurrence that allows you to get ahead of the problem and do something about it before it goes off the rails, does that happen? And when it does, do you have some process for documenting that?
Ronnie, we haven't had it happen. Like, we've been really, like, we haven't genuinely.
Good.
We've got, you know, eight or nine of them running around and more to come. And we have not had that happen. We've, touch wood, you know, we've been fortunate. And, but yeah, for sure. Like, we get an alert, GPMS sends an alert. It sends an alert to the operator if there was something to happen. Everybody on the chain that you designate gets an alert immediately, what's going on. And then, you know, GPMS themselves are, you know, they become heavily involved at that point. Like, this is what's happening. Stop this now. You know?
Maybe that's something for you, Ronnie, to, I mean,
we find
I'm sure you do. Like, globally, in the helicopter fleet around the world, with all of your systems on it, if you, like, just to go back to the insurance question and them maybe slow to reacting to it, they're slow to react to it for the exact same reason that you just said. Well, how do I calculate an ROI on something that doesn't happen? Right? We document. You have to.
And usually what happens, so helicopters are generally very safe, right? If they weren't safe, transport, FAA, all these people would never let us fly, right? Or this inspection intervals would be 100 hours for every component, not 2,500 or 5,000 hours for overhauls and so forth, right? Helicopters and the components are generally very healthy. But sometimes things go bad really quickly. There was a 429 operator recently where everything was operating perfectly fine. And then within a 5-hour period, their trunnion bearing basically went completely out, right? 5 hours. That's 1 to 2 flights, right? And you're not going to catch that in an inspection when everything else has been fine before, right? And so some of these alerts can come up immediately. Some take longer trends and so forth. It's very different. So yes, you have to kind of document your ROI for your own purposes of understanding, yes, I'm getting value. There's obviously more value than just the vibration monitoring and some of the other areas. But some of it becomes preventative. Like, hey, maybe you should just go do an oil flush that much quicker, right? What else can you do to help prevent things from getting worse is where you really want to see. You don't really, as much as we love it and love to see it, we don't really want to catch big fines, because that could have been a really bad day in the office for somebody. So speaking of going into the MRO world, then, you know, NSAIR, Pantera, and so forth, you know, you have that responsibility to help maintain and customize and change out your own aircraft. What are some of the pressures and challenges you're seeing within your own MRO space right now?
Just same as everybody else. Parts, people, you know, it's always the same. We use we'll use third party as well, like, you know, whether it's Heli Welders or Alpine or you know, Avialta or companies in the US, whatever, right? Like, we're gonna put a machine, if we can't do it in-house, we're gonna give it to a trusted partner to do, for sure. And we all spend a lot of time at managing manpower and managing parts. And I think that's the biggest thing that we spend our time on, to be honest with you. It's the parts piece is more so. I mean, I think also because our fleet has grown a lot, but at the same time, it's grown a lot coupled with the shortfalls from the suppliers and everybody else. And as they're trying to rectify fallout from COVID closures and different things and mineral supply issues and tariffs and whatever. But yeah, I think that's probably where we spend the bulk of our time is, you know, we always have a list of people that want machines. That's not, thankfully, thank you everybody, a problem, you know, but finding a machine at the right price, that's problematic. Finding value, like if we don't buy it at the right price, we can't give it at the right price. There's no point in us just rushing out and buying machines at the wrong price, because then you're not going to be able to understand and bid your contracts and make any money. So that doesn't help any of us. So if we buy it at the right price, we can lease it at the right price. Everybody can make a little bit of money. Don't be a greedy pig. That's what we say. Like, everybody makes a little bit of money, and and it works. But it becomes problematic when the tariff situation squeezes that supply, and now we'll feel that. We will feel that this year for sure. We're going to feel that because people say, well, I'm going to hang on to that machine now. I'm not going to get rid of it. Or I've decided that I'm going to do this instead. And so those ramifications just snowball. And then the other thing too that happens, and I am going to say this, is sometimes when you know that you want to get a machine, do not call everybody to get the same machine, because you create a buying frenzy and people think there's 10 machines needed. And so you're bidding against yourself. Choose somebody you want to work with and work with them and trust the process, because, there's lots of great people in this business. Choose who you're going to work with and don't create a feeding frenzy on the same product. I see it all the time. We see it all the time. Like, you just bid yourself up. It's like real estate, like everybody, I've got 10 people that want to buy my house. And then you just find his name is Charlie Brown and he was on his own. And the price just went up 50 grand or 100 grand, right? Because everybody thought Charlie Brown was buying from them, and he only has the money for one house. So I will say that because we see it, and especially when demand is tight,
So you know me, Adrienne, I'm a friend to all OEMs now, but like Bell is tattooed on my heart. Like, it's pumping every day with Bell blood just going through, the red blood. That's why blood is red, because it's from Bell. But you guys are pretty much mostly 90 some plus percent an Airbus fleet and the H125 or the H125 series. Why did Pat and yourself really go down that path, and what do you find value into it?
It's a great helicopter. Does everything everybody wants. It's, the performance numbers on it. It's a workhorse. There's so much data on it. Everybody, it's the first aircraft of choice for forestry in Canada and the States. It's a great machine. What's that? The TBOs have been extended on the engines. Like, it's a great machine. And you can make money at it, operating it. If you bid your contracts right, don't bid a contract for 4 quarters for $1 or 4 quarters for $1.25. But yeah, you know what your DOCs are, and you can figure it out, and there's enough data there for you, and it's a great helicopter, and it's as we found out, it's an appreciating helicopter. It's not going down in value. They hold their value. They're great aircraft. Lots of data on them.
But overall, operating,
I think probably to answer your question, Pat worked at Airbus, so everybody worked at Airbus initially.
The secret comes out.
Yeah, I didn't, but he did. I'm like you. I'm a friend to everybody. I like everybody. But,
So with that though, operating and leasing mostly one aircraft obviously has benefits in the supply chain, the turnaround times. Everything becomes a little bit easier because you get that volume. Instead of an operator looking at, well, I need an A-Star and a 407 and then a 212 and a one, all these different variants. Trying to stay close together has benefits from that perspective, right?
Right, for sure. And operators understand that. It's expensive to train your pilots. It's expensive to train your maintenance. It's expensive to have inventory. Like, you don't want to have multiple aircraft, It's always a little bit concerning when somebody has a Schweitzer, an R66, a 350, a 407, and a 412. That's kind of like a logistical nightmare, right? And so, commonality wins the game, right? Because you can just like average out your costs, and that just becomes important.
Howie, have you seen operators make those fatal errors sometimes?
Oh, I've worked at a couple of places where we had a wide variety of machines, and then more than a couple of places that were right on for brand type, all 205s and 212s, or
Yeah.
VIH is leaned right into the 61s since the demise of the Kamovs. And I mean, they used to be that huge operator with all of the things, right? From 206 to 58Ts to 61s and all of it. And they scaled back. I'm assuming in part because logistics and supply chain is way easier when you're a single type operator.
Adrienne, I have to address the elephant in the room in some sort. You've been around the aviation world and the helicopter world for a few years, and there's more of us guys who are elderly and losing hair and so forth, and you have the soothing voice of not only the Mother Mary Poppins, but the Brit Canuck accent and everything else that comes with it. How have you helped thrive as a woman in the aviation industry when you started out? I'm sure there weren't as many, and hopefully you've seen more throughout time. How's that been for you?
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140 plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
You know what, Ronnie? It's been great. I've been really lucky. Oh, it has been great. I've been really lucky. Like I was thinking about this question, right? And the answer is it's the same as if I was a man. Like, only I'm not obviously a man. But I think in this business, none of us really suffer fools, you kind of have to be a little bit smart. So I'm going to say that. I think you should learn to, I like to ask questions. I do like to listen a lot. People that know me when I was younger, I was a bit more fiery. But
a fiery redhead.
I was
could
pretty
never
fiery.
imagine.
I was pretty fiery. But I think I've had a really, really, really great, rewarding, fulfilling career. And I've been very blessed to have had great mentorship across the board from, great guys, predominantly actually just men, because there wasn't really any other women. And I'd often be the only woman in the room for like long time. And I think it just helped, some of them will say, well, you weren't stupid, like I don't think I asked really stupid things. And I think I was thoughtful about it, and I did my homework, and I understand, and I applied myself. And that's no different than a guy would. That's the truth. If I couldn't hold my own, I wouldn't be here. I can hold my own. And I always will say to people, I know enough to be dangerous. I'm not a pilot and I'm not a mechanic. Like, I know enough to be dangerous. I can tell you that I do know this, but I would suggest that you talk to this person about that. And I think knowing where I kind of sit in the mix is a good thing. But I think obviously it is an advantage being able to talk to guys about many things, guys. Pat and I will often say, like, we'll talk to somebody separately and he'll go, you had a completely different conversation than me. And I'll be like, yeah, like I'm saying, he's got 4 kids and he's got this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then he was telling me he was having a really hard time because his mother-in-law's been sick and he's got this going on and la, 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 la. But I think it all does help. I think it weighs in. And I think, I'm a very relationship-centered person. I think in sales, we are all relationship-centered people. And I think it's important. And I am very grateful to everybody that has given me time. They've given me their time willingly. They've helped me understand things. They have shown me things. I mean, I can tell you, the guys when Trans-North Turbo Air was around, I made the mistake of taking their guys drinking one night when I came into town. And Al Capti, God bless his soul, who was just a sweet man, he said to me, him and Arden Meyer said to me, if you take our guys drinking, you'd better make sure they're all here in the morning. And I was like, so it is my responsibility. And in the morning, you can laugh all you like, Howie, because you know how this is going.
Oh, I'm sure I know the end of the story.
I got there and there was nobody in that hangar, Ronnie. And Arden handed me a pair of fuel-covered coveralls to put on. And he got me to put my head down the tail boom of a Jet Ranger and told me I had to do a visual inspection for him. Even though I wasn't a mechanic, you just do a visual inspection and tell me if those rivets look okay. Meanwhile, I was not hungover. I was not feeling good. And I had my head down this tail boom. And then suddenly I heard everybody laughing. And in their old hangar, they were all up on the mezzanine clapping. So I rest my case. I have had like a lot of fun. I've had a share of tragedies. There's nothing worse than losing a good customer. There's nothing worse than having a customer call you and they've lost somebody dear to them. There's nothing worse than that. But I think, I've made great friends and I've made, I get to work with smart, interesting people. And I think it's nice. I like it. People share things. And I think it's way more fun to say yes than to say no. Let's just have a good time and learn something. And,
great business.
It's a great business, right?
So what would be the biggest piece of advice you would tell that apprentice or the new avionics shipper packer coming into the industry? What would be your best point of advice to help them build their credibility and the longevity in this industry?
I would tell them to say yes to everything. If somebody says to you, can you stay late? Yes. Can you help me pack this? Yes. Can you clean the machine? Yes. Don't put the barrier of a no first. It doesn't matter what you're being asked to do. If you're asked to count inventory, say, yeah, absolutely. Because then you're going to learn how much those little widgets cost. You're going to learn how much those parts cost. And that is really invaluable. Lots of people don't have a clue. They might be at the front end of the service chain and not understand how much it costs or understand how hard it is to ship or how much time it takes to ship a part and to box a part and crate a part or build a crate, And so I think if you can just learn to say yes and embrace it, find some people that will mentor you, find some guys that will give you the time and just take it from there and learn and read. Don't just expect everything to happen in your day. Do stuff outside of your day that you can learn from. Listen to podcasts, read books, ask old people things, what was it like? What was this like? They'll tell you great stories and they'll tell you things that matter and they'll help you have a good shortcut maybe, I always feel if somebody is, certainly if my guys are telling me things, I'm paying attention. Pat's time is valuable. Dan's time is valuable. I'm paying attention to them when they're talking to me about something. And I pay attention to anybody in a hangar that's going to show me something. That's their job. It's not my job. My job is to listen, learn, take it away, help them, rectify it, do whatever, But I would say yes is the best thing I can tell you.
And I think that really helps you stand out too in building your network and your credibility. I mean, just yesterday, one of my colleagues was saying that one of the people I only ever met virtually except for one time in person, who worked out of Singapore, is now in Australia and still remembered me and knows what I'm doing now. Right? I haven't talked to this person in years.
Yeah.
Right? But this industry is so, as big as it is, it's so incredibly small and niche, and we all rely upon each other of this. I mean, Howie's sending stuff to Van Isle stuff from however many years ago, right?
Right.
That kind of relationship. Howie, would you agree with Adrienne?
Oh, absolutely. On all of that, I think that's great advice. Say yes. Especially for everybody. Every time you say yes, you're saying, I want to learn, I want to do something new, or, just be a part of what's going on. We need to have a good, strong community of people who know all all the things, who know what it's like to be in the stockroom for 4 days, counting every single thing back there, because it makes you a better person on the floor when you show up at the counter and ask for a part and know what's gone into tracking it, and even just where it's stored. Oh yeah, it's upstairs in room number 3 on shelf 5. Yeah. It makes everybody's life easier. And I think that's folks out there, what's the advice you can give to new people coming in? Well, get off your phone and do, sort of a more negative take on how to coach people. That say yes is, I like that. I'm going to use that forever now.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Adrienne, the good cop, bad cop question here. What do you think is your biggest concern right now in the helicopter industry, and what would be the thing that excites you most?
Oh, probably the biggest thing that concerns me the most is the acceleration of the cost of acquiring new aircraft and what that's going to do downstream. I think that probably is the one thing that, it's out of all of our control. And when OEMs, and it's not just Airbus, OEMs are increasing those costs as they kind of have to, I think. I don't know that they're that in touch with actually what their customers are doing for a living and what they charge as a tariff. And somehow that bridge has to be rectified. And I think as an industry, we're not very good at it. We haven't done a great job educating, Airbus France or Bell or Augusta, what you can charge per hour and make money. Or some of those customers, like oil and gas or whatever. I mean, there is no point turning a blade today when you are just swapping 4 quarters for $1. There is no point. Like, do not go and bid a contract for something that, and I hear it, they'll say, I'm doing it because I want to keep my crew busy. I'm doing it because, we don't have winter work and I just thought it would be better than us all standing around. No, it's better to stand around and drink coffee and eat donuts, because you're burning time off of a component that is now costing you way more money than you ever imagined 60 days ago. You're not paying last year's cost on that component. You're paying the future cost on that component. And you need to be ahead of that. It's kind of like, when you break your leg and they give you painkillers and they tell you want to have a pain blanket and you want to get ahead of that pain. And I think that that's what we are experiencing with the parts and the costs and the increase is, how do you get ahead of that? And somewhere there has to be an alignment with what people are charging and being able to command for their machines and understanding that. Like, if I have one more person say to me, I'm going to go and put my machine out and I'm going to beat these guys. They don't know what they're talking about. And, they charge $1,700 an hour, Adrienne, and I'm going to put my machine out at $950. And I'm like, you're not putting my machine out at $950.
So right? I wanted to ask whether you,
and I think that's, like you're going to go underwater. You don't have a command of what it is costing. And so I think educating and people getting educated as operators on their costs, understanding the OEM expenses, which is, Safran, Airbus, everybody, certainly, increased 7% midterm. They've increased another 7%. That's 15% a year before you factor in a tariff, before you factor in your increase in shipping to get it, before you increase, let's just pile it on. And I think people, not people, but, I think generally understanding that is going to become really critical, really, really critical. You can't go and bid most of today's contracts at the price of a new H125. You can't, you couldn't do that. I don't think anybody in North America would get the rate. That's a problem for Airbus. It becomes a problem for us downstream.
And that ultimately is a problem educating the customer in the end, right? Like, we we exist in this industry where the customer probably doesn't understand any of the detail of what it costs to keep an aircraft running, right? I think that's fairly fair to say, unless you're talking the big oil companies and they've got a very advanced aviation program going on, and they almost dictate what advancements happen in this business because they want to see increased safety. They want to, Shell won't operate a helicopter that's more than 10 years old or whatever their regulations are. And so that automatically produces turnover in the fleets, which is good. We're seeing 92s coming off the oil patch because now they're too old, and all of that. And it drives the industry forward, but nobody else is Shell, and nobody else has Shell's money, and nobody else can pay, because they can pay for brand new aircraft, right? But nobody else really seems to have that higher level of understanding of, when you tell us we're going to go, everybody wants a good price. And this business is really bad for trying to beat each other up to race to the bottom of the barrel for who's going to get the job, just to be able to say, yay, I'm flying a helicopter, rather than making money at it.
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
Right. And being the lowest bidder is not a badge of honor. Like, it is not something that you want to be. Like, you do not want to win because you're the lowest. Yeah. And it's like, it isn't. You want to have that value proposition. You want to be able to hold your own or understand at least what's your walkaway price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what is your walkaway price on this contract? And I think, so I guess that's it. Like, I think if you pay attention to what new machines are going for, and then you think about how does that impact my operation 5 years from now, 8 years from now, 12 years from now, like, forward look that because it's going to, right? And how do you bring your customers along with you on that ride where you're not just suddenly waking up and going, oh my God.
I think that's the challenge, bringing the customers along. For the ride.
There's think about 5 years ago, many of the OEMs, their PBH programs were capped at a certain percent, 2%, 3%, 5%. And, many operators back then were like, why would I give them my money? They're holding my money. Many of them would be begging for those types of contracts now based off of the inflation and lead times and everything else that's been going on. So, it's one of those, you can't say I told you so necessarily, but you sure wish you had rubbed that magic lamp back then and done that. So the sustainability of this industry in many ways is one of your biggest concern. What are you most excited about?
The sustainability, because it's fun, I mean, like, what? I think it's great. I love to see customers growing their aircraft, growing their fleets. I love to see new people coming in. It's really nice, in a really strange way, to go to a meeting and actually not know as many people because there's new people, like, that's a good thing, right? Like, and I think it's, I guess that's probably it. I mean, hey, listen, I tried to sell real estate. I mean, it's pretty dull compared to this, right? So I think that, we all get that aviation bug. Many marriages have hit the dirt because of it. Many things have, I mean, it's got a lot to answer for, good and bad, right? And, but it's one of those things that when you weigh it all up, my son recently came on a road trip with me, and he kind of said, well, maybe I want to get into aviation. And I kind of went, what? And
did you trip and hit your head?
I kind of started to, kind of think of all the reasons that he shouldn't do it. And then I actually couldn't come up with any. And because the truth is that when I asked him, what is it that makes you think you might be interested in this? And he said, well, Mum, you guys have great friends. Mm-hmm. You enjoy every day. I know that you love what you do. And that has been consistent for him for his whole life. His whole life, he has seen me love what I do, get on many planes, come home tired, show him photographs, talk about people. They've shown up for dinner. Like, he's seen all of that. And he equates it to, but Mum, you've got lots of really great friends and you really love what you're doing. And he said, so I think that would probably be pretty good because lots of people don't get that. And that's the truth.
Absolutely.
If he wants to go into aviation, you want to make money, go join the airlines. If you actually want to work, which is not really work because you're having so much fun doing it, and not make anything and have everything going bald early and various other things, come join the helicopter industry.
I'm silly, but still a lot of fun.
Howie, what are you most excited about in the industry nowadays?
Same thing that's always excited me about it, I guess. I don't know. I love the diversity. I love that every day is something a little bit new, right? Even when you're going out on a logging job again, it's a new site, it's new people. It's, at the same, I guess there's a certain comfort level to a lot of it. I'm excited by the prospects of maybe seeing a little bit more advanced technology work its way towards the utility market here. Like, I'm dying to get my hands on some GPMS data, as you know. I've got I guess I'm pretty close now and can probably mention it, but I got a little sideline that's very close to becoming public for real. Working on flight simulation, synthetic flight, and training.
Very cool.
I am very excited for the possibilities in developing all this. This has been going on for, I'm going to say, about 4 years now. I've been working in this space, moving towards some specific stuff. But with the ability we have coming, which is, so you've got a hum system on your helicopter, and it's winter and the helicopters get maintenance done and you got to train your pilots. Send me the last month of operating data from the hums and I'll load it into the simulator and you can fly your aircraft with all its little quirks, all its little nuances, just exactly the way it was flying when you were last up in it.
That sounds very exciting. I'll tell you what I'm most excited about. The potential of meeting people like Adrienne, who I only met 4 years ago and have reshaped the entire helicopter world for me. I am excited to meet 1,000 more Adriennes in this world.
Oh, Ronnie, I'm going to pay you later. Thanks.
You always bring good wine.
I'm going to pay you later. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, can I do a little plug? I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm going to do a little plug for my friend Doug Grant. Have you seen this, Howie?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Vertical Horizons.
Yeah.
The history of Okanagan helicopters. That looks amazing.
It is an amazing book written by Doug Grant, and you get it from Harbor Publishing in Victoria, Howie.
Oh.
And down at the bookstore there, or you can order it online. It's a great history of Okanagan and Viking, and all of you guys, people listening in, all of us oldies. I never worked there, but when I was at Pacific Avionics, the first work order I ever created was for an Okanagan tachometer or something. So it all kind of links together, and it's great. Doug is retired in Kelowna now, but it's a great read if you're wanting to know where did all of this madness start in Canada.
Nice.
For some of our international audience, Howie, can you tell us a little bit about the Okanagan area?
Oh, the Okanagan is a wonderful, wonderful place up in Canada. The south end of the Okanagan is actually the north end of the Sonora Desert. So it's quite warm. I've lived and worked in the South Okanagan a little bit. And most of the time, winter involves a down vest and nothing worse than sneakers. There's hardly ever snow. It's always very warm. And it is probably the Okanagan Valley itself is home to just a whack of helicopter companies from, Alpine to Coldstream to Transwest / now McDermott are all up in there.
Wildcat.
There it is. Of course, Wildcat.
And then add in the Napa Valley experience with
HNZ has their mountain training school in Penticton. I lived in Penticton for a little while there. Beautiful city. And up in the north end, Kelowna, and some fantastic skiing. So it's not all desert. There's wineries and boating, and it's some of the best kiteboarding in North America happens there down on Lake Skaha, and it's a magical place.
It's the Pleasure Island Disneyland of Western Canada. Then
it's pretty close. There's a few places that are in contention for that, but it's certainly I would certainly say it's a bit of a hub for helicopters.
Mm-hmm. And they have wine.
Oh, yes, very many very good wineries.
Adrienne, to kind of wrap up, if there's one takeaway you want any of the listeners to leave with besides a book plug, what would it be?
I don't know. Go be safe. Have a good time. Make some friends. If you want a helicopter, give me a call.
And drink some wine.
Drink some wine.
Adrienne, thank you today for sharing your perspective, your background, your history, your words of advice, the funny stories, everything. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you, Howie. And thank you all for listening to my very first lead vertical MRO. If you didn't like it, please sure to send a note to John Gray saying, keep Ronnie in the background. So with that, thank you, everybody.
I put a success column.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And we'll end it for today. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Thank you to our sponsor, Metro Aviation. Metro Aviation, the world's largest family-owned aeromedical operator, offers comprehensive aircraft services with 140-plus aircraft in over 25 states. The Completion Center installs medical and law enforcement kits and avionics, serving diverse aviation needs including offshore, utility, VIP, and corporate sectors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability, so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.